morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Casey. I started this last year. We want to do Coffee with Casey to keep an eye on the market, see where it turns, when it turns, what's the best strategies we've discussed. We said we'd do it every Thursday, and we knew we'd run out of material in week 4. But it seemed like last year it kept getting funner and funner as we went along. There's more information to share. Today, the stuff we're going to talk about today is going to blow your mind. So, we can't get into how many listings are on the market and all that right now because people start putting their homes on the market in January. So we'll start taking a pulse of the inventory right about the end of January. We'll see, if homes are really coming on the market. I can tell you we had a home have 130 showings, 20 contracts. So that does tell me that there's a lot of buyers out there and they're looking for houses. So one of the things that we do is no matter where we list a house, whether it's Centerville or Vienna or Burke or whatever, we try and we know we've already got the market that's looking for that house. They have stored searches. The agents are looking. Everybody's looking for that house. The biggest money comes from people that aren't looking for that house. They're looking maybe if, let's say, we're in Vienna. Well, homes in McLean sell for $200,000 more than Vienna. So let's market to those people. Let's market to Arlington people. So we know that homes cost more in McLean and Arlington than in Vienna. We know that they cost more in Vienna than Burke and more in Burke than Centerville. So you always have a buyer pool that we're trying to reach out to and pull them in. And Julie, of course, is an expert in social media on how to track them and find them and display these beautiful ads and wonderful websites. So we need to put a number on that for the buyers that are looking at the place. And that's what we're going to talk about today. What is that number? First of all, how much appreciation have we had? We've seen numbers go up. How many appreciation have we really had? Now, Danny always looks at you and goes, are you sure? Are you sure about that? Or are you just taking information from a computer? So, I hand build everything that we do. Computers are not accurate, so we need to really hand build our material. But here's some incredible stats that I'm going to go over with you for today. And I'm going to take 2022 by the numbers. All right. So hopefully you can see this. It's 2022 by the numbers. So how much has everything appreciated since this pandemic started, right? So I went to every town and I picked, comparable houses. I said, okay, how much has everything appreciated in Arlington? 10%. Over the last 2 years, 10%. So look at this chart and it tells you that, remember, we started the year and it was a perfect storm. We had, low interest rates. We had no inventory, very limited inventory. And we had the other dynamic playing that a lot of people can now work from their house. They don't have to go into the work. So as you can see, the housing in Reston and Burke and Oak Hill and Ashburn and Leesburg and Haymarket took off. So they're up 30% over where they were 2 years ago, while the closer in towns like Arlington, McLean, and Vienna really, for the money did not go up as much as everybody think they did. Okay. So there's your appreciation charts. Now, what does this tell me? This tells me where I think the best deals are is if you look at Centerville, right? Centerville appreciated 23%. Haymarket, Ashburn, they're all up in the 27 to 30%. Why is it that Ashburn appreciated so much and Reston appreciated so much and Centerville did not, right? Okay, so look at the transportation thing. So the transportation and the subway is going all the way out to Leesburg right now. It's not to Leesburg, but to Ashburn. So that's done. That's opened up. There is no more construction really on those roads. They're easy to get down, easy to get through. So the transportation is a lot simpler. You drive on Route 66 and you take your life in your own hands. I mean, you're driving down between two semis and you have to the lanes swerve. So you're swerving with these two monster trucks. It's a dangerous place to be. Now, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be awesome. It'll probably be, I don't know if it's going to be the middle of next year or when it's going to, but when it's over, it's going to be awesome and efficient. And those houses are going to go from that 10% or 7% less than everybody else is appreciated, and they're going to get their number. So, we may list a lot of houses out of Virginia Run, and literally sellers, when I say your house is worth 900,000, they're like, you're crazy. That's crazy. But it has appreciated, a good amount in 2 years. So they're struggling to get used to it. But really what I tell them is you've underappreciated. When you compare your house to other houses around the area, you are under market value. Okay. So let me tell you how I know that. And this is some of the things that we like to show people. If you're looking for a 3,500 square foot house in Arlington, that house is going to cost you $1.7 million, $1.741 million. In Vienna, it's 1.3. Remember the $900,000 house that the person was struggling to get over, that it was worth 900,000? Look at Centerville at 901. So that same house in Vienna would cost $1.361 million. And in Arlington is 1.741. So our job, no matter which town that we're working in, is to take the Centerville home and introduce it to the Vienna buyers, the Oakton buyers, the Arlington and McLean buyers, because it's such a great value to get, $400,000, $460,000. So I'm telling you, if you drive from Vienna to Centerville, you could save $400,000. Not a bad deal, right? So, we are advocates for the house. We are, whatever our listing is. So you have to look at where you are and say, well, in Arlington, it's worth this, or in McLean. So in every listing we have, not only do we have what's the house worth, but what does that house sell for in Vienna, McLean, Arlington? And not only that, this is the savings. So we look at the savings. So if I went to Centerville instead of Arlington, I just saved $840,000 on a 3,500 square foot house, right? Again, the savings also tell me I think Centerville is underpriced. I think that they're very underpriced, and it could be as much as 7, 8, 9, 10%. So this is what, when a buyer is looking at Vienna, now I don't show them, hey, you can go out to Centerville and Ashburn and buy this house for $800,000, but I certainly will focus on what it costs, what your savings are from McLean and Arlington, right? And if I'm in Oakton, I'm saying this is what you would save if you come here instead of Vienna, McLean, or Arlington. So we never look to the right. We always look to the left to tell the buyers, this is what your savings is. Now, here's a real driver home. If you take the minutes it takes you to commute from DC, right? And you apply a dollar amount to that. So let's go back. Let's just say that Vienna is $380,000. Well, it's only 14, 15 minutes from Arlington. So what is that per minute that I'm driving? So in Vienna, if I'm going from Arlington to Vienna, for every minute I commute from Arlington to Vienna, you can take $27,000 off the price of the house, right? So look at Burke, and look at Centerville. Centerville, for every minute you drive outside of Arlington to get to Centerville. So we're trying to show the public that's looking at a Centerville house what a great deal it is, what the potential is, what they save per minute of commuting time. So, and we go back and say, you save $840,000 if you buy a home in Centerville, same home, Centerville versus Arlington. So pretty dramatic. And I'll tell you another reason why we go after people from the bigger markets is because, let's say you're in Centerville and a person in Centerville, yeah, they're used to Centerville pricing, so it seems like it's high. But to Arlington, Vienna, and McLean buyers, it seems low. To DC buyers, it seems really low. So, what we're trying to do to an LA buyer who walked in and bought a $1.65 million house is only worth 1.4, but he bought it for 1.65 because 1.65 in Arlington is nothing. You get shacks for that. So, our goal has always been, let's get the buyers in the bigger markets to look at our home. Perfect example was, we found Julie had sent him out, and a guy calls us up and he says, it's funny. I was looking for a house for 1.6 million in McLean, and this house, 1.6 million in Vienna, showed up on my Wall Street Journal feed. He said, it's a miracle. I said, nope, it's Google Ads. I mean, they found you, they tracked you, they put it on your Wall Street Journal feed. You saw it, you fell in love, you came down and paid full price. When Vienna was rejecting the price, a person sitting in his penthouse in New York thought that was a steal, came down and bought that house. So I think that Dave Facioli from the Sun Gazette sent out a message, and he says, what's the one skill set you have to have today that, really 10 years ago, 12 years ago, you didn't really need? Well, today you can target buyers outside of your market area, and you can use Google Ads, very sophisticated technology that Julie uses to track those people, put your ads, let them see them, attract them to the house. So, what proof is it? All I know is our house is sold at least 7% higher than the rest of the market. So I'm assuming that's because we use highest and best offers, we price it low to get everybody bidding on it, we push the prices up. But it's also because when somebody brings in a contract, we want to know where you're coming from. And we see that it's working. You're coming from Arlington, you're coming from DC, you're coming from McLean. That's where we know this kind of technology is working. So this is what you save. This is what it costs per minute to commute. So, my daughter lives out in Percyville. For every minute they drive to Percyville, they save $20,000 on the price of their house. Let's see. Yeah, their house about $860,000 less. And now let's talk about some of this too. You got to take into account that there's a huge employment center at Tyson's Corner and Reston. So yes, we anticipate that the Haymarket in Percyville, they appreciate a little bit more because they have employment centers, they have clean roadways, there's no construction really going on. So we would expect those to be a little higher. But if I'm working with a buyer, I'm like, imagine this in a year and a half when all of the construction is over and you have a beautiful shoot through. It'll take time off your commute, and then the houses will respond. So if you're looking for a deal, go find it in Centerville or Vienna. And the reason why I say Vienna is because if you're going from Arlington, there's a big drop off from McLean to Vienna. It's only 5 minutes difference. There's a huge drop off. It's 136 to 1.6. So you can say $250,000, same size house, $250,000 if you're looking for a home in that $1.3, $1.5 million range by just going to Vienna instead of McLean. So, and the reason why I think that's such a deal is because McLean buyers need to be close to town. They need to get into town. That's their whole deal in McLean. They need to get into DC in a short period of time. They're willing to pay for it. The more people that telecommute, the more people that are working from home. I mean, I was with patent attorneys yesterday. They're both working from home. They can work anywhere. So the more people don't have to go in the office, the more I think this will start to level off. And I think that now Vienna's a deal, Centerville's a deal. I think Burke is a deal. And then I think Leesburg and Haymarket are already experiencing that pump because, they have the employment centers and they have the transportation. So let me see if there's anything else here that I'm going to blow your mind on. So basically the percentages that we use are, if Arlington house is 100%, the McLean house is selling 92% of what the Arlington's, and then so on and so forth. So as you go away from Arlington, you pay that percentage for housing. And that's what's calculated into a dollar amount. Okay. So see the drop off here? I mean, that's 14%. There's only 8% drop off here, but there's 14% drop off here. And then here is only 6, and here is only, 5, and so on and so forth. So this is out of whack. This should, either this got to come down or this got to go up. But So that tells me that Vienna is a good deal. All right. $1 million home in Vienna sells for 1.177 in McLean, 1.279. It's important that when I'm selling $1 million home in Vienna, that I'm pointing out what these things cost in other towns. Or if I'm selling a $1 million house in Centerville, right? Or let's say this is a $650,000 house in Centerville, I can say this house is $1 million in Vienna. This house is 1.2 in Arlington. So just come on down the road. It's worth the commute, right? All right, this is, let's say you have a buyer, and we work with a lot of buyers, and we say, okay, buyer, you want to look for a $750,000 house. So we need to find a distance commute, plus the value, plus the community that you're looking for. So in here, if you're going to pay $750,000 in Arlington, you can buy a 1,300 square foot house built in 1944, or in McLean. You can see that you don't get much house, but the farther out you go, the more house you get. So by the time you get to Haymarket, you're at a 3,000 square foot house built in 2005, as opposed to, you know, homes in here. Now, Vienna, 1581 in 1964. These are the age of the homes, the average age of the homes built. So, and just, you can see it going up. So really what we're looking for is, what is your, you know, what's your threshold where you feel comfortable? What community do you feel comfortable in? What size home do you like? What's the price range? Can you find something you like? So if you can't find something you like here, then go look in Centerville, look in Haymarket, start working your way down that ladder, and you get bigger houses that are newer. Okay. I think that's it. Oh, I think that's just our stats. So that's a look at, you know, that's a look at the numbers and the stats. And how do we use that? I mean, how do I use that? So I have a guy who's got a condo. He wants to sell a condo. It's here in Fairfax. Very nice, you know. And it's a $550,000 condo. So who's probably going to be my buyers for that condo, right? Well, again, they're coming from Arlington. If you're really cool, live in Arlington until you start getting married and having kids and need more room and need a school, then you're going to move out. So where are you going to move out to? Well, how about Fairfax? Because a condo for $550,000 in Fairfax costs $936,000 in Arlington. So we're going out to all the people in Arlington that are in, you know, renting or buying condos, and say, you know, out here in Fairfax, you could save, what is that? Almost $400,000 by just coming to Fairfax, and still get a nice new condo with 1,434 square feet. You can have 2 kids in this while you're, you know, waiting to get your big semi-detached home. But, you know, how do we use it? All we do is tell condo buyers in Arlington that you can buy a house out here in Fairfax and save $400,000. That's how you use it. And we do that online, and you do it in brochures, and you do it on pricing models, you do it on all that stuff. So as we go into 2021, now you know where everybody's at, how much everything is appreciated. Average 22%, right? Some places are better buys than others. Vienna, Centerville, Burke, they're better buys than ever than the other markets. We know what you save as you drive out that beltway. We know, you know, what the profit is, how much less house cost, how much you save. So a lot of stats today, and this will be up on our podcast, so you can always refer back to it. Now, how do we use that? Again, all we have to do is tell people that this house sells for that over there. And for every minute you go from Arlington to here, you're going to save $22,000 or $27,000, or in the case of Burke, $41,000. The house in Burke is going to go, now there's only 9 houses sold over $1 million in Burke last year. We did 3 of them, but there's only 9. So there's not a lot of buyers looking in Burke. So what did we do? We went to DC and Arlington and McLean and Vienna. And we dragged buyers out, and each one sold for $150,000 over list price. And the seller we met with the other day said, you know, it's funny, we were stagnant like this. And then all of a sudden we got this real bump, like 150, $200,000. And I was standing in the dining room and Billy was on the stairs. And at the exact same time, we both looked over and went, "You're welcome." Because we did that by first putting the house in the condition they should be, not 1995. Put it in good condition, right? Put it in at a really nice price. Get people coming in, get them bidding on it, bring people from other places. And before you know it, we were getting $150,000, $200,000 more for those homes that they've been getting in that neighborhood. So yeah, when we said you're welcome, it's like, yeah, we did four of them in the last like year and a half, and each one had $150,000 or $200,000 deal. And this is how we did it. So, the house in Burke that is worth 1.3, 1.4 million sells for 2.25 million in Arlington. And that's what we tell people. And that's what we show them. I mean, I've got all the stats we show them. So anyways, how do you get bigger prices for your house? Appeal to the people that are in the bigger markets. The price in Burke is nothing if somebody's really looking in McLean or Vienna and stuff like that. They're going to find out that's where their big house is. Some people really want that community. Some people just really want that house. So our job is to find the people that really want the house, show them the bargain, show them the deal, and let her rip. So let me talk about one other thing. So we're talking about pricing houses, right? And we had an interesting thing yesterday with pricing this house. There were limited condos as comps. So sometimes we find ourselves with limited condos. Now our pricing model handles most everything, but sometimes there's not enough comparables to really get a strong number. So what we had to do was go back and find the last four sales and find out from 2017 to today, or to when they sold, what did they appreciate at? So you had to go back. All right, he appreciated 8%, 9%, 10%, 0%. Okay. So let's say the good houses appreciate for 7%. Apply that to the house, or 8% or 9%. Apply that to the subject house we're looking at. Comes pretty close to the same number we came. But what it did was it confirmed the seller that, we really were on the right price. It's not what Zillow says at 650, it's 575, 550, 575. So be very aware that Zillow, not Google, but Realtor.com, RPR over the last year has gotten worse, not better. I mean, literally, they're saying a home is here and we sell it for here. Or in some cases, they say it's here and we sell it for here. So ignore the websites. It's entertaining. You can look at it and it'll give you a ballpark, but it's wrong. You really have to do this by hand. And so if you're dealing with a realtor, you're trying to find a realtor, then you have to make sure they can prove it. As Danny would say, are you sure? I mean, are you really sure? You make a factual statement and he and Bernie will look at you and go, you sure about that? What's your source on that? And so that's why I have to do everything by hand. I can't trust anything. I can't trust the pricing engines. I can't trust what people say. I have to go by facts. Numbers don't lie. Numbers work. And that one little screen I was showing you, and I got a minute here, so I'm going to go ahead in a minute or two. So I'm going to bring that back up. How do we know this stuff works? Because that's our production for 2021. So it's 131,500,000. So that's the total listings we had. That's the total sales we had. Now those listings sold in an average of 7 days. The market's anywhere from 39 to 49, depending on what market you're in. But so if something keeps happening over and over and over again, and our average sales 128 and their average sales 121, I'm assuming we're getting 7% higher for our transactions in the rest of the market. And our top 50 sales were 133% of assessment. So that's 11% higher. Our average sale is $1 million. So our average sale sold for $110,000 more than the rest of the market was selling as a percentage of their assessment. So these tips that we're giving you, these can make you a lot of money or lose you money if you don't take them. So in here, you'll see the total production is 131, over $1 million. So we specialize over $1 million. And, you know, we've got 87,500 of 87,500,000 homes sold over $1 million. Same thing holds true, whether it's under $1 million or over $1 million. But I'm just saying, it would be impressive stats if our average sale was 500 or 600,000 bucks, right? But it wasn't. Our average sale is $1 million, you know, plus. So in Vienna, you know, we do all Northern Virginia, but in Vienna, we're at 71 million, and our next close, you know, the top 20 agents sell about 10 million. So we're at 7 times the volume of the average top 10. Now, and again, I don't spend a ton of money on Zillow. I don't spend any money on Zillow or advertising. We do a good job on selling a house. We tell the neighbors we sold the house, and then we have the seller refer people to us because we did a great job. We need you to refer people. So when you go to realtor seminars, all they talk about is how to prospect and cold call and do all that. We don't cold call. We don't do any of that stuff. My agents don't do that. We're a relationship team. We want to do a great job, and they want to tell everybody. And then that should bring it in. And we want our sellers to give us more referrals. So the Vienna Oakton, we're at 81. So, you know, the tips that I gave you this year as we went through the year, this is the results. When a football coach tells me about his offense or his defense, I just want to know what your record is, because Bill Parcells said it: you are what your record says you are. So if you win half your games or 1/3 of your games, I'm really, you know, not going to put a lot of credibility into what you tell me. So I run into sellers all the time, and they say, well, you know, this agent told me this and this agent told me that. I'm a little confused. I'm like, well, everybody has an opinion, but you need to authenticate the opinions. Take somebody that you know is doing it, has a track record, a good track record, understands your area, and that's who you want to work with. And then you have to trust them. Remember I said 50%, you know, our top 50 deals. Well, we did, I don't know, 80 deals. And our top 70 deals did really well, okay? And then you have that 10%. And let me tell you what happened with those, where you don't want to make this mistake. And this is for the realtors too. If your seller is asking you questions, that means they trust your opinion. If they're telling you something, that's a bad sign. They're telling you things. So I always tell my agents when we're in and we're working with sellers, if they're telling me what to do, we have a problem. If they're asking me what to do, that's going to go well. And I will tell you that when a seller is telling you what to do, or, you know, you either don't take the listing or it just usually doesn't end well, you know, that could cost, instead of going off for 1.3 million, my recommendation, they went off at 1.5. Well, that cost them, in my opinion, at least $75,000 to $100,000. So find somebody you trust. Just listen to them. It's nice to ask other people questions, but find somebody to trust. Ask them the questions. Authenticate whoever you're talking to knows what they're talking about, has the track record, and not just has been there for a long time, but I mean really knows what they're talking about. How do they arrive at these things? What kind of education you're getting from them, and then trust them. So in 2022, as we're sailing into another year, find the right agent, trust them, because then you go in the top 50 or top 70, then everything goes well, then more money comes in, then sales happen a lot faster. There is no frustration. There's no home inspections. There's no appraisals. That's the way to do it. We anticipate 2022 to be the exact same thing through the first 2 quarters, and then it's going to dictate how much inventory we get and where do interest rates go. So my name is Casey Samson. You've been listening to Coffee with Casey. I'm at 703-508-2535, or you can reach me. My email is casey@caseysamson.com. But give me a call, 703-508-2535. Bye now.